Memorial Day holiday weekend. We're on your side with how long the heat's going to stick around and when we'll see our next chance for showers. And we weren't the only ones to see showers and storms over the weekend. We take you across the country to other places that were impacted by the severe weather. And we bring you a moment of science that's sure to have you buzzing over honey.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
And welcome into First Alert Weather Extra. Let's go right to Tower Cam, and we do have some breaking news here. We were noticing a few moments ago quite the view here from Red Mountain. You can see this large smoke plume over the city of Birmingham, and actually what's going on, according to the newsroom, there is a abandoned commercial structure there that is on fire there. 84 the current temperature you can see on the Tower Cam, and the sky is clear, so that just really stands out there over the city. In fact, if you go to the radar, check this out, you can actually see on First Alert AccuTrack, we're picking that up on radar. You can see that large smoke plume. You get all those particulates that go into that cloud of smoke there, and the radar energy bounces off that, and it provides a target for a return. So that's why we can see that on radar. It's anytime we have any sort of particle, or whether it's a raindrop, whether it's a hailstone, radar can detect. That's why we can see that picking up, even though it's not raining and the sun is shining. So if you notice on radar, that is not a pop-up shower. That is actually from a fire that's currently they're responding to there in the city of Birmingham. But temperature-wise, we're seeing 80s right now across the board. West Alabama today, we got close to 90 degrees there in parts of West Alabama. Matt earlier was actually tracking a couple of isolated pop-up showers to the northwest. So folks there around Haleyville, perhaps in that general vicinity, if you notice a stray shower today, yeah, that was the real deal. We actually had an isolated shower. But I want to give you the weather extra right now, what's going on across the country and to the north. We're getting ready for another severe weather risk to ramp up here on Tuesday for parts of the Midwest. Once again, this is an area they've had so many severe weather outbreaks this season, and here we go again with yet another severe weather possibility, and that's also going to threaten places like Chicago and St. Louis. So some big impacts over the next 48 hours there with the threat of storms, and you can see where that system's located. That main storm track is staying well north of us, but what happens, we have a ridge over us. It's going to start to flatten out later on in the week, so we'll start to see some of these storms developing into our area, but it looks like the more routine threat as we get closer to the weekend, what we typically see this time of year, some storms with lightning, gusty winds, kind of like what we saw on Saturday. We'll have to watch out for some storms by the time we get to Saturday, Sunday, and Memorial Day. But tonight, severe weather threat stays north of us. Tomorrow, and actually tomorrow, notice there is a rare level 4 out of 5 moderate risk for some of these areas again tomorrow. That threat for tornadoes. Threat starts to slide south on Wednesday, but we stay dry through Wednesday. All those storms will stay north of us. So not expecting that severe weather risk to move into here as we close out or go into the mid portion of the week. But as we close out the week, you see right there the next big thing, giving you that first alert for storms late week, feeling like summer. In fact, this weekend that heat index will start to surge above 95 degrees. But now taking you around the country to Oklahoma, where yet another round of severe weather happened last night, including tornadoes and large hail. Check out this footage of the tornado. How ominous is that? You see it there with the lightning there in the background. National Weather Service issued a tornado emergency near Custer City just before 8 o'clock last night. At least 10 to 15 homes were damaged, and at least 2 people were injured in the Butler area of Oklahoma. As of this morning, at least 6,000 people were without power from Tulsa to Oklahoma City. Kansas also experiencing severe weather yesterday, with the city of Russell receiving some damage. The storm also knocked down trees, power lines. The National Weather Service issuing a tornado warning for a tornado that was on the ground west of the city. And check out these stunning images sent in by Ryan Carty from Birmingport. Right here, Ryan always helps us out when we're tracking severe weather across Alabama. He's been out there for a couple of weeks sending some incredible photos, but this was as the storms moved through yesterday. You can see mammatus clouds right there in that image. That first image actually showed where a derecho moved through. That's what a derecho is it's an extended stretch of damaging winds. It happens over hundreds of miles, and that's what actually moved through the Houston area last week. But the second image, again, showing those mammatus clouds near Albert, Kansas, and that actually represents a lot of turbulence in the atmosphere. You'll see that a lot when we are tracking severe weather, especially out in the plains. I've seen that a lot of times underneath the anvils of thunderstorms, often a sign that you have some potent severe weather happening nearby. And Pennsylvania, how about that? Also receiving some severe weather. It's been all around as we've been seeing this season. And look at this. It started out the weekend like this. What a way to start the weekend. This is some of the new footage that we're now receiving today of a tornado that moved across residential areas on Friday. According to the National Weather Service, at least 3 tornadoes hit western Pennsylvania, right there in the Pittsburgh area, but thankfully there was only minor damage. There were uprooted trees and minor car damages. And in Texas, the cleanup efforts are still underway in Houston after the heavy rain, hurricane-force winds from the derecho last week left several fatalities and also hundreds of thousands of people in the dark. Fox weather correspondent Katie Byrne has more.
We need help. I'm on the breathing machine. People over here have got medical issues. We need help, but we need water and food.
Anxiety and frustration growing in Houston. That's where hundreds of thousands of people remain without power after deadly thunderstorms and hurricane-force winds swept through the region Thursday.
I would like some answers as far as how long it's going to be, if maybe we need to make plans to actually leave the area for a while.
Energy officials warn it could take at least a week to get back up and running. Crews are still out assessing damage, and it could take some time to replace equipment, including massive transmission lines knocked down during those 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts.
If a school doesn't have power, it probably will remain closed.
This could mean another day of government offices closed and canceled classes for some on Monday. While crews work on restoration, much of the city is also cleaning up. Workers boarding up windows and sweeping up glass downtown. In the Houston suburb of Cypress, where a tornado touched down, neighbors helped each other.
A lot of glass in the house. Unbelievable how much glass is in there. It's all over the place. But they've cleaned up much of it.
All the work happening amid a smog warning and rising temperatures. Forecasters are predicting highs of around 90 by the start of the week, with heat indexes reaching triple digits by midweek. Several cooling centers are now open for people to find relief. In Houston, Katie Byrne, Fox Weather.
And as of 4 o'clock this evening, at least 180,000 customers were still without power in the Houston area. And that's according to the First Alert AccuTrack system. And right now, just looking at the latest temperature right here, showing 89 or actually 90 degrees right now in the Houston area. So as we continue, we'll talk more about our chances for storms later on this week. I'll have a first look at that Memorial Day weekend forecast and the beach forecast right after the break. Stay with us. All right, making those plans for the Memorial Day weekend, looking ahead to Saturday, Sunday, and Memorial Day. Very seasonal looking forecast. Those afternoon highs will be close to 90, but the heat index 95 to 100 degrees. It's going to feel a lot hotter, more humid this weekend, and we're also going to see those scattered thunderstorms back in the forecast. So do stay tuned throughout the week because, as you know, next few days we'll have even more specifics on when to be on the lookout for some of those showers and storms. Typically, once we heat up, it's often in the afternoon, but we have a live look from Schooners there in Panama City where it's 82 degrees and it has been just an incredible day there. Been watching some of those beach cam views today, and looks like as we move ahead, if you have plans to head down to the coast, Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, Destin, Panama City this weekend, notice those rain chances not as high as what we're going to be dealing with there because a lot of those storms actually for us Friday is going to be in areas to the north, but just make sure you have the weather app as you travel. The weather app follows you wherever you go. And as we continue our discussion on severe weather season and the patterns that have changed when it comes to forecasting, I'm joined again by Jason Sinkbell, professor at the University of Alabama in the Department of Geography, as we talk about the changes that occurred after April 2011. As someone who's experienced, lived in Tuscaloosa as a professor at the University of Alabama and been there for April 2011, and to see that severe weather happen, I know you have certainly led the way in a lot of the research since that event. What are just some key takeaways, some things since 2011? I know in a lot of your research and a lot of surveys and things that you have found, some good takeaways that we can keep in mind, as we move into future severe weather seasons.
That day redefined everything for all of us in the weather community, all the citizens of Alabama. So we've learned so much since then, but the pace at which the research is evolving in terms of tornado detection, we have the Vortex Southeast program has been really beneficial for both physical science and social science. The meteorologists that do the physical science have made a lot of progress on trying to figure out the exact environments, why some storms produce tornadoes, why some don't. All these other external influences. And then I do more research trying to bridge the gap between physical and social science and how we could change, modify, and make our products better so that people react more appropriately. And so I've been doing most of my research in those areas. And the one thing I've found, since I'm in a geography department and some of my degrees are in geography, is that people have a really poor perception of geography, and it's not getting better, and that impacts their perception and their awareness and their decision making when you issue a tornado warning. And Wes, you do a great job. I mean, all the other broadcast meteorologists also do a good job. You show street level coverage. You show exactly where it is. You show the most dangerous part of the storm. But what we found is a lot of people aren't. Either they're not paying attention to that or they're not comprehending the direction it's moving. And we were really surprised at some of our research that I did with Mississippi State and Kathy Sherman Morris over at Mississippi State. We were really surprised at some of the things we found in our funded Vortex Southeast research.
Well, I know that a lot of times when you are communicating that weather message, we often will place maps out on social media to know your county, and it never hurts to kind of review when you keep that in mind. But geography, it's the mother of all sciences, and meteorology included, so it's very important to think about that aspect of it when it comes to your safety as well. But you certainly make us proud with a lot of the research you're doing there, Jason, at the University of Alabama, and we certainly want to have you back on here on First Alert Weather Extra to talk more, and it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this season is going to play out. It certainly will. And how will this forecast play out? Still ahead on Weather Extra, we'll talk about the chance for showers and thunderstorms as we head into the holiday weekend. Stay with us. Well, a beautiful day out there. Temperatures rising into the 80s. A live look from Hoover, where we're getting ready for some SEC baseball. 84 degrees, winds variable, dry weather expected. If you're heading out to the SEC baseball tournament for Tuesday, you can see by 1 o'clock 84, 5 o'clock 87 degrees. But out there in that direct sunshine, make sure you have the shades, the hat. It's going to feel a little bit hotter out there. Certainly toasty. You'll want that sunscreen protection. Whatever you're doing next few days, the UV index right now is in that 10 to 11 range. It's maxed out, so it does not take long at all to develop sunburn in this time of the year. So the forecast tonight, nice evening coming up here. The sky clears out, the wind settles down, very calm tonight. We'll have overnight lows near 60 degrees out there. There's a look at 11 o'clock, but we've had some very pleasant evenings out there, and with it being less soupy, that's helping out with the comfort levels as well. Notice in the morning out the door, some of the outlying areas like Pell City to Talladega there, you can see around 61, especially here in East Alabama, Gadsden, even Jasper showing 61 in the morning. So a nice cool start to the day. You can get out there early, start some of that yard work. If you're planning on doing that tomorrow, you can see nice early on. Afternoon, again, we'll see those mid to upper 80s, but a lot of sunshine in the mix for tomorrow. As we look ahead into Wednesday, still dry. We'll see another day with those afternoon highs near 90 degrees. But the next big thing will be that chance for scattered storms coming back. You can see there the possibility that's showing Friday. Greater chance for areas to the north, but there could be some storms in the afternoon, so do stay alert for that possibility. It's not a washout by any means. In fact, over the weekend, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to go to visit the lake, the pool. It's going to feel even hotter with that heat index ramping up, but each day, as you'll see Saturday, there's still some indicators. At times, we'll see some scattered storms, so watch out for those impacts over the weekend, but very seasonal, very summer-like, and that pattern looks to continue into the start of next week. So that's the next big thing. And also notice by Saturday the heat index jumps up to 98, so closing in on 100. So we'll see those heat index levels really ramping up for this weekend. Even though the temperatures, the daytime highs don't change much, it's that feels like temperature by Saturday and Sunday that starts to crank up. Overnight lows around 70. But do stay alert for those scattered storms coming back on Friday, giving you the first alert right here on that next big thing coming up for the weekend and into the start of next week. But as we continue right here, we're going to be talking more about the sticky, sweet, and good to eat product from Nature's Perfect Pollinators. Dan Smith shows us how honey gets from the flowers to your table in your moment of science.
Last week, we explored the world of busy, buzzy bees, and now that sugary superfood they create takes center stage. Try not to get too hungry as we dive into the saccharine world of honey. Let's start with how it's made. Bees collect nectar from flowers and store it in what's honestly called their honey stomach. Kind of like your dessert stomach when you say, yeah, I could go for some ice cream after the buffet. It never mixes with the food a bee actually eats, so it's not quite bee vomit. But once enzymes break down the nectar into simpler sugars, they do regurgitate that to other bees. So, you know, still gross. When the water content is low enough, that's when they deposit it into those hexagonal honeycomb cells, shaped because they use the least amount of material to hold the most weight. Thanks to their wings beating nearly 200 times a second, they actually fan the liquid out to dry it even more. Now, honey's considered ready when it's at 20% water content or less, and the bees then cap the cells with wax to preserve it. You probably heard that honey never expires, though there are some caveats. It's true that bacteria has a really tough time with high acidity and low water content, plus that wax cap. In fact, when they discovered King Tut's tomb, archaeologists also found 3,000-year-old honey that was still good. That still isn't the record, though, with 5,500-year-old sealed jars unearthed in the country of Georgia. However, the quality does decline after a year or so, but even if it crystallizes, a quick 30 seconds in the microwave can make it good as new. No word on if the ancient Egyptians tried that little trick. One worker bee makes an average of a mere 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey in its lifetime, which, as we found last week, is pretty fleeting for everyone except the queen. That translates to nearly 800 bees making just one 16-ounce jar of the sticky stuff. Nectar locations, species, and storage can all factor into the taste, from floral to fruity to smoky, just like wine and spirits. Honey and the honeycombs, beeswax and all, are safe to eat. Well, you might get some looks at work if you pull a whole rack of them out for a midday snack. Vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, amino acids, Outside of the fact that it's mostly sugar, honey is downright healthy. It's even been shown to speed up healing wounds and makes for a pretty effective antimicrobial gel. However, on a final note, you should not give honey to your kid if they're less than a year old. Spores can contaminate honey and cause infant botulism before their systems mature and keep up. Just wait until the 12-month mark, and chances are they'll start putting it on their chicken nuggets at some point soon anyway. Though maybe that's more of a note to myself. For this week's Moment of Science, I'm Dan Smith.
And coming up right here on Weather Extra, we check in with Matt and Mickey and some of your weather photos. Stay with us.